Hello and welcome to day 2 from Essen Spiel 2015. My name is Andy Jones. I'm here joined by Thomas Ryan.
Hello.
And by Mr. Richard Smith.
That's me. Hello, listeners.
That's a pretty good radio voice I've got going on right now.
I disagree.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just want to recap our day here at Essen. Talk about the one best thing that we got from the day in terms of playing, buying, enjoying or experiencing. And I'm going to throw it over to Tom right now because he's actually been kind enough to stop going through a new game he bought to join the podcast. So let's talk about the game.
Okay, yeah, so definitely highlight of the day has been Realm of Wonder.
Yep, which we all played.
We did?
Yeah. And you fought viciously to stop me from winning. Which
I don't think I did.
I mean, you didn't, more Richard.
I punched you in the back of the head.
And then got Daniela to
punch you in the back
change
of the
her
head.
decision.
Within consecutive terms, every one of the other players had hit you.
My only sort of recompense is realising that the creator of the game won.
Yeah.
And I had taken out Daniela, who was about to win ahead of me.
Yeah.
So I would have won if he hadn't been playing.
I think that's fair.
It was cool. Those last few rounds were really we were all very close to winning. For
Yeah.
a lot of it.
No, it's really
Apart
cool.
from Andy.
Andy was. Andy essentially had 2 win conditions.
Yeah, but I was.
I mean, you were miles away.
I was nowhere near the. So let's talk about the game. Let's explain the game a bit before we continue. Tom,
Before we get into the nitty gritty.
do you want to?
Yep. So there's up to 6 armies, all different races of fantasy type. What have we got? Kind of golems, gnomes, wizards,
Trolls.
I was a Yeti.
yetis, of course.
Richard was a Yeti.
You better believe it. Abominable snowman.
And probably another one we haven't mentioned, but that was a secret.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
So each of you are trying to complete a mission, objective kind of thing.
Yep.
Which has been set by the king, who lives in the centre of the land. So in almost all cases, you have to complete the win objective, and then you have to get to the castle to report to the king.
Yeah.
Just to let him know that you've done what he asked, you know.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Just to hand in that ticket and be like, so what, am I the king now? Or
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, I mean, that is actually one of the other ways of winning is you become the king.
Yeah.
So you can actually just
Which is pretty cool.
rock up on his doorstep.
It's my land now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, it's
Which
really
is-
cool.
Yeah,
It's
quite interesting trying that out, see how well that works as a thing, but
you wouldn't last a second, mate.
I don't think so. No.
So yeah, basically you control one character, and you there's different objectives depending on which you pick, and then there's different win conditions that you can achieve, and then it's a race to the end. But it's got a moving board, which makes it much more exciting. Where once there was a bridge, someone like Richard Smith can change the game state and remove a bridge.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily remove it. Just move it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Just rotate it away from you. It's cool. There's kind of concentric rings going in.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm all about gimmicks in games anyway. So the fact that you can rotate bits of the board is just I mean,
Why did you buy the game? Was it just the deal? Because
it
deal.
was an amazing deal. But I mean, I actually really enjoyed the game. I like the fact that there's essentially a couple of different games in that you buy as part of the set. So there was 6 different scenarios.
Yeah. So
I think.
the one we did today was basically making 4 different.
Yeah, kind of fortifying these kind of magic wells that are in the land.
And then getting to the centre. And then
there's ones where you just have to slay the most monsters
or just punch everybody else.
Kill other players. I mean, there's also special promo scenario where you're Santa and you have to deliver gifts
to people's houses, which we've got to do at Christmas.
Definitely. But I kind of got it because I played. So within the same setting of Realm of Wonder, there is Realm of Wonder Allies, which I actually played yesterday.
Yeah,
I think I might have even mentioned briefly on the podcast yesterday. I can't remember. And I really enjoyed that game, and that was a lot quicker. And it has all the same. I say characters, but not really characters, but the same races.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, and I intended on buying that, but then the deal just kind of sold it for me because it just meant just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a fantastic Essen deal, definitely, and getting allies for €5 if bought with Realm of Wonder is just something you can't turn down.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy one, you might as well buy the other.
Yeah, exactly. There was pretty much no point.
Like, even if you're going to gift it, then
yeah.
But the allies you said was pretty cool. It's kind of plays out similarly to something like Blood Bowl. Where
So you're
Blood Bowl Team Manager.
Blood Bowl Team Manager.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you're just competing over 5 different lands each round, and the amount that you beat your opponent by determines what happens to the land. So it initially is in a neutral position.
Mm-hmm.
If you're beaten by 1 point, it turns towards you. If you're beaten by 2 points, you then collect it. But it then means that if you start on the second round with a land facing away from you, you have to win by 3 points to get the land. So,
which is
really
pretty
cool.
smart.
Yeah.
Cool
But
idea.
then there's also kind of these negative lands, which are the king's lands. You don't want those because then they're bad for you. So you're kind of then trying to put your worst cards on there while your opponent's also putting your worst cards. And it's good.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'd never heard of either game before attending Essen, and they're a really cool little couple of games by King Toad's Games.
Yeah.
So it was a really nice find,
And they look awesome as well. The art style was really cool.
Yeah. I love the little minis for them. I love the art for them.
Yeah. Rich, let's move on to you, my friend.
Well, I played a game that isn't. Well, we all played a game that isn't actually out yet. So
Legends. Thank you.
That's the one. I mean, but that's kind of one of the perks of Essen. You get to see these games that aren't quite ready. And the guy, we were sat down with somebody from Mayfair, who's the company that's going to publish this title. He was telling us that literally it was they found out at the last minute that they weren't going to get the copies delivered ready for Essen. So there was some guy printing it out and sticking it down on cardboard and cutting it out at the very last minute before they had to leave and get on the plane over to Germany. So it was a kind of it wasn't a prototype version, but like it was a final version on prototype components.
And like not to scale necessarily, and
What was it called?
It was called King Chocolate.
Exciting.
King Chocolate, which is what initially why we sat down and played it, I think. And it was about making chocolate, and through making chocolate, making money.
I was a bit gutted it wasn't about eating chocolate, because I feel like I could be the king of that.
No doubt, buddy.
Thank you, friend.
So it was a bit weird. I'm not entirely sure how I think about it, but it was cool nonetheless. Like I think it's a good game, but perhaps not quite for me.
I feel like it's a really clever game, and to me that's terrible because I'm not clever. So
yeah, I mean,
go well for me.
Dare you be clever?
Yeah,
I'll attempt to explain it now. Basically, there are 6 stages of making chocolate that are represented in the game. There's like growing the chocolate, collecting the beans, roasting the beans, smashing the beans up, making it into a liquor, and then making that liquor into chocolate. And those are all represented by different colours, which are on pieces which are 2 hexes joined together along one edge. And on each kind of dual hex piece, there's 2 different colours. So there's never going to be, let's say, 2 purple ones, which was the liquor, together. And then within those hexes, there's also rings, and there's either 1 or 2 rings. Which means that when you produce on that step, that's how many bits it can hold. So some can hold two cubes, some can hold 1. And you had 4 workers which you could place down on these different coloured areas, which kind of obviously grew as you put down more tiles. And you then had ownership of those, which meant that as soon as any cubes left to the next stage, so following this through kind of the 6-step thing, then you got money. And it was quite smart trying to work out how to best if you own, let's say, stage 3 and you've got 6 bits of chocolate on stage 3 at the moment, but let's say Tom owns stage 4, then I've got to give them to him, but that means that Tom can then give them to Andy, who has stage 5, and make some money off him, off of that movement. So it was quite smart trying to balance the way to make sure that everybody was giving you stuff to move on to the next bit. But it also was just, I don't know if it was because it wasn't the final bits, but every time it got round to me, I'm not often kind of struck with what's it called? Analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
But every round I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I went on to win, but like every round,
maybe it's just Essen sickness.
Yeah. But I was just I was looking at this thing and kind of blinking and trying to take in what I was saying. It was very busy. There's a lot going on there. It's probably a little bit more mechanics heavy than what we usually play.
I mean, I feel like we play plenty of games which have more to them, but it was just something about it. I don't know what it was. There was something about it that I just couldn't ever comprehend what I was doing, what my playstyle was going to be for this game.
Yeah. I mean, the guy that was teaching it to us was like, I've played this 100 times, I don't have a strategy yet. Yeah. Which some people will think that's really cool, and some people will be like, nah, that's not. Yeah. Like, you ought to be able to develop a strategy for a game. For me, I think, and you said the same, Tom, when talking to you earlier, like, I can see that there's a good game there, and it might be somebody's cup of tea, but it's not mine.
Yeah.
It was still cool to see, and like, it was a nice kind of Essen kind of experience that we wouldn't have seen anywhere else, but other than that, not quite for me. Anyway, onto Andy, the man in the chair to my right. What's your highlight been today?
So we didn't play that many games today. So when it came to picking one for me, it's quite difficult.
It's because we were too busy creating hashtag content for the hearers, so that they could be watchers. No?
Nice. No, I'm going to dignify that.
I mean, we were doing that.
So we were filming a lot today, interviewing a lot of lovely and cool people. So my highlight has to be buying Pandemic Legacy.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely bought Pandemic Legacy.
And I stayed on brand. We got the blue box.
Yeah.
Which is a must. And it honestly was... I was really excited. We had lunch and I was like, right, I'm going to buy Pandemic Legacy. Like, there's no chance I'm not going to get this game. And then we went up to a shop and I exchanged money for product.
Yes, that's
definitely did.
I mean, it was quite glorious.
I know for a moment there, I really hope you put in, like, when you edit this podcast, you put in like a good, like, nice sort of 30-second pause there, and then. Yeah, then I bought it. Yeah, and then it was bought. Amazingly, I gave them money, and then they gave me what I paid for.
I gave them a piece of paper that is ascribed a value, and they gave me a game.
I'll tell you what, these Germans, efficient.
I don't know how to wait. They had a quick chat before they served me, but I mean, that's neither here nor there.
What did you talk about? Tell us the deets. Did you get a number?
No. They were talking behind the counter. I had to wait to be served. It was an outrage.
That was rude. So it was inefficient.
It's like they don't know who I am.
Which is odd, because you do wear a big badge saying I'm fucking Andy Jones.
Which gets really confusing, because then they're like, what? How do I make sure I never have that badge?
I don't want to know your boyfriend. No.
No, yeah, I don't know who that is.
And just in case Mum's listening, I don't wear that badge. But yeah,
no, it just says effing, because we crossed out the rest of the word.
So it doesn't seem like a highlight, but I think we're going to have a really good time playing that game. And I don't like Risk Legacy enough to. I don't like Risk enough to give Risk Legacy a try, but I do enjoy Pandemic enough to give Pandemic Legacy a good run for its money. So I'm really excited about playing it.
And we haven't quite done this yet, but we kind of all agreed as the four of us that are probably going to be playing it that we'd chip in to that, which I think is the way to go if you know you're going to be playing like any of the Legacy games with a group, because if you try and play it with somebody else like further down the line and they don't quite know why everything's happened to the board,
they're a one use game.
You can just I mean, I'm talking for Risk Legacy, which I'm assuming will have the same kind of thread to it as Pandemic. You can just like keep playing it infinitely. You can just play it as Risk with a messed up board and weird factions, and it's perfectly functional. But obviously you don't have that attachment to what's going on.
You'd have to be a monster to do that.
I mean, to be honest, you kind of have to be a monster to keep playing Risk.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just genuinely, you would have to be a monster like by some definition, just like.
I mean, we
So hours to use it that it takes to play a game of Risk.
Out of the 10 listeners we have, the 2 that are Risk fans, I apologise.
I mean, I am a Risk fan. I have chosen to play Risk on several occasions. If that doesn't make me a Risk fan, I
mean,
don't know
the
what
choice
will.
was Risk or death, so it wasn't much.
I mean, it's probably Risk or listen to a uni friend play guitar. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean,
Essentially.
Risk won out. You know, he probably got his grade 6 in guitar.
So Pandemic Legacy. Let's jump back to that. It does look exciting. Me and Richard managed to speak to Matt Leacock yesterday, and that was a wonderful experience. He seems like a really nice guy.
It was really interesting trying to talk to him, and him not really wanting to tell us very much about the game for all the right reasons.
Yeah. And also at the same time, I didn't want to ask too many questions.
Yeah,
exactly. I was
exactly.
like, don't ruin this for me, don't ruin this for me.
Well, he said to us, so I don't actually know exactly where everything is and like what's under all these things. Whether that was just to put us off asking about them.
Yeah.
But he was like, this is the first time I've seen the finished copy, which is cool.
That would be really cool. Like if that is actually 100% true, because then that would mean like he himself, as a creator of a game, can actually not know quite what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, that's
It'd
really
be
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was our Essen Day 2 at Spiel 2015 Messe Essen. And I've used all the words, just not in the right order.
Do we have a brief plan for tomorrow?
We do. I don't want to say it though.
No,
Just
it's a
in case it
surprise.
goes wrong.
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
And
Yeah.
then like every hearer who's hearing this goes...
You're hearing this right now. Here it is.
He goes, but you said you were going to be doing this, and then that didn't happen. And then we had to be like, we slept through our alarms and missed it.
Yeah, that sounds like
Which-
something that might happen.
Which could happen.
Yep.
But tomorrow is Saturday. It's supposed to be the busiest day of the con. We've bought a few games, so it might be a case of nipping in the morning, trying out a couple of bits, and then finding a pub and just playing the games we bought.
If we have the time.
If we have the time. I mean, if not, I'm sure we can tell you a pretty good story.
You guys are the worst. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, and if you do enjoy our content, please head over to RollinDiceShow.com. If you want to not just be a hearer but a watcher, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is Rollin Dice Show. I'm on Twitter at RDSJonesy. Thomas Ryan is
At T Ryan Art.
and if you must follow Richard Smith, you can.
Let's be honest, you must. It's RDS Rich. That's me.
Again, thanks for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Woohoo!
Cheers.